Hi everyone, we are excited to have you here in today's fun-filled learning session at Uolo. Here is a quick look at how you can submit your work after the class. As a first step, go to live.uolo.com. You can use any browser to access this site. On this page, you will see a list of all our classes. Scroll down and you can see the Submit Your Work button. And then you will see a list of the classes that you've last attended, which could, for example, show the dance or craft or science experiment classes you've attended recently. Next, it will show you the list of children whose names are registered in this mobile number. Choose your name from this list to submit your work. For instance, if you are Satvik Kumar, choose that name. And then choose the class for which you would like to make your submission. For example, if you've attended the New Year's Masquerade Party session and you'd like to make the submission for this class, click on the Submit Your Work button below that. And then upload the photo you've taken. Choose the image from your phone and click Submit. You can scroll down and view all your past submissions and see how many of your friends or peers have liked your work. You can also see others' work and like their work to inspire your friends. If you want to showcase your work on social media, that too is very simple. Click on Share, copy the link and post it on Instagram or Facebook or any other platform of your choice. Just a tiny reminder, your submission looks a lot better if you could click a photo in the landscape mode rather than the portrait mode. Do not forget to tag us at YOLO_app. I'm eagerly looking forward to all your submissions right after this class.
Hey, hello everybody. I'm so happy to see all my smiling faces back again. And it has been a long journey. We have already reached to class 5 of our mandala technique now. So this class is going to be a little different from all the previous classes in terms of even the patterns and also the materials that we are going to use. So since this is the class 5 of our whole course and it's been long that we are into mandalas now. We are drawing patterns. We are using, sketch pens and whatnot mediums. So I thought, why not introduce you all to a different technique this time, a different technique of creating mandalas. So this one is hence going to be a little different from the previous mandala classes that we had. So I hope you all are ready with your art materials and you're all set for today's class. Yes, quickly give me a thumbs up if you're ready with all the art materials and you're all excited to start the fun activity. So don't worry, as you know the drill, we will discuss about the art materials in detail. So just quickly give me a thumbs up if you're all set and excited for the fun activity today. I need the thumbs ups rolling in, till then I'll quickly share the screen. Okay. Okay, I hope you can see the screen now. And I also see all the thumbs up coming in that yes, we are all set to get started with today's activity. So let's get started now. And as we all know, we first discussed the art materials. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first material that we need here is an A4 size. It is an A5 size black sheet. This is an A5 size black sheet. In case you have an A4 size black sheet, what you can do is just cut it into half. If you have an A4 size black sheet, just cut it into half and you'll get an A5 size black sheet. In case you are not able to use black sheet, you can even use your normal white drawing papers. In case you don't have those, you can also use your ruled sheet out of your notebook. Okay, so that's totally fine, but I would be using this black sheet paper this for this class. Okay, so don't worry if you don't have the exact paper. It's totally fine if you have any other paper as well. Okay, so that's the first material. Second, I have these earbuds. So these are earbuds. I have around 4 to 5 of these. These are the earbuds. Third, you need a pencil. It need not be sharpened this time. This time we are going to make use of a pencil as a different tool that we usually do not. So just a normal pencil, that's the third material. Fourth, we need all of these acrylic colors. So first is this orange acrylic color. Next I have a white acrylic color. Then I have a blue acrylic color. And I have a yellow acrylic color. So let's talk about the acrylic colors first. Yes, we are going to make use of these acrylic colors for the first time in our course. This is a different medium, and also we are making use of a different base. That is, the paper that we are using is different from the regular one. Just make sure that if you're using a black paper, you have these acrylic paints, because only these acrylic paints would be visible on a black paper. If you're not having these acrylic paints, you can just change your paper to a simple white paper, because only acrylic paints are visible on black sheet. Okay, so these are the acrylic colors, and a quick tip for you is, in case you don't have an orange acrylic color, what you can do is simply mix red and yellow color. So simple mix of yellow and red acrylic paint would give you a resulting color of orange, and that is what I have done over here. So just mix red and yellow in case you don't have an orange acrylic paint. And the other paints are simple, just white, yellow, and blue. Any shade of blue that you have would work totally fine. Okay, so any shade of blue would work, any shade of yellow would work. And if you don't want to use orange, you can just simply use red acrylic paint. Okay, so I've just given you a good number of substitute art materials so that you have no chance of leaving this fun activity. So just make sure that in case, even if you don't have any of these art materials, or one or two of these art materials, you can still take part in today's fun activity. Okay, so I hope you have all taken into consideration about the materials and the substitutes that I've given. So now let's just quickly get started with the fun activity. Yes, let's get started now. Okay, these are the acrylic paints and these are the materials now. So let's get started. So first, so what I've done here is I've just taken yellow acrylic paint on the lid of the container. So instead of using a palette or any surface for it, anything for it, you can just simply take a little bit of paint on the lid of the container of the paint, and then we can just simply make use of it. So no need to use any palettes or any plate for taking some paint out. So simply just take a little bit of paint on the lid of the container and you're good to go. So that's yellow acrylic paint. I'm going to first take a earbud. That's the earbud that I'm taking, just one of this. And we're going to dip this earbud into the paint now. So just carefully observe first. I will be repeating this process. First, I want all of you to just carefully observe this process. Okay? So first, I'm just dipping this earbud into the paint. And now, just slightly at the right side of the sheet, slightly at the right side, not exactly at the corner, slightly at the right side, I'm going to just mark a dot. I'm going to press this earbud onto the paper, which gives this resulting dot of yellow acrylic paint. Okay, that's the same thing that I've done. And now, around this, just carefully observe. Just below this, I've just made another yellow acrylic paint dot. That's a yellow dot just below the previous one. The same above the previous one. And then we just make these dots around it. Okay? So just make sure that you have good gaps between the dots. They are not totally overlapped and it's visible separately. Okay? So here's a quick recap for you. What we are going to do is we'll dip the earbud into the paint, and slightly at the right side of the sheet, not at the corner, but slightly at the right side, we just place this earbud and we have a dot. Now, just below this dot, just below this dot, we're going to mark another dot. And now just above it, another dot. And then we just give these dots around the central dot that we have made. And again, a point to be considered, a point to be noted is that these dots need not be overlapping each other. So there should be a little bit of gap between these dots so that it's visible as well. Okay, so that's the first layer that we have created. And now let's move to the next one. So I'm keeping the yellow color aside. I'm going to use this orange color. We don't use the same tip, but the other tip of the earbud. So first we used yellow paint. Now we are making use of an orange paint. And as I said, in case you don't have an orange paint, you can simply mix red and yellow color, or you can simply just go ahead and make use of red color. Okay. Now the other side of the earbud, I'm going to dip it into the orange paint now. And we just start marking these dots around the central part that we have given. And this time I'm leaving a little more gap than the usual ones. If you see, I'm just leaving more gap in between the dots this time. And I'm just going around the central yellow dots. Okay, this is what I've done. And here's a quick recap for you. We first dip the earbud into the orange paint and we start giving dots around the yellow dots now. And just make sure that you have gaps between the dots. Those dots need not be overlapping. Okay, so these dots need to be at a little gap from each other. Okay, so there we go. Okay, that's the second layer of orange. Now again, we are going to follow the same technique, exactly the same technique with yellow paint. So we are just creating an alternating color combination over here. We are just using yellow and then we proceeded with orange. Now we will again follow the same technique with the yellow acrylic paint. So I first dip this earbud into the paint, that is the other side of the earbud into the paint, and then in between the previous two orange dots, I start giving these yellow dots. Okay, you can just start rotating the sheet if you're finding it difficult. Start rotating the sheet. Make sure that your fingers or your palm is not resting on the dots, otherwise you just end up ruining your artwork in the beginning itself. Okay, so just marking the yellow dots now in between the previous two orange dots. Okay. Okay. So that is what I've done over here. Here's a quick recap for you all. Following the same technique and creating the next layer of yellow dots. And as you see, I'm just creating these dots in between the orange dots. Yes. And also I'm quickly just rotating the sheet so that my palm doesn't rest on the artwork or the paint, because acrylic paints will take a little time to dry from the paper. Okay. So I hope all of you have followed it up till here and you're finding it a fun activity up till now. So we have just created a central yellow portion followed by an orange layer of dots and then just again a layer of yellow dots. Okay. So now we are just going to make use of a white acrylic paint. And again, as you know, I'm just going to take a little bit of paint on the container, on the lid of the container itself. And now we are making use of a pencil. So the pencil, everybody please observe it carefully. I dip it into the paint and I mark tiny dots this time. So since the tip of the pencil is tiny one, we have tiny dots coming here, and I'm just marking these white tiny dots in between the yellow dots that I've created. Don't worry, I will be repeating the process for you again. Just dipping the pencil into the paint and creating these tiny white dots. So here's a quick recap for anybody who couldn't follow. So that's the white acrylic paint that I'm using. I take the pencil, dip it into the white paint, and then I create a tiny dot between the yellow dots. So just simply placing your pen into the paint and then creating an impression on the paper. So since the pencil has a tiny tip, it has a sharp end, we would get a tiny dot, a tiny white dot now. So just following the same technique, and I'm just marking these dots in between the yellow dots now. Okay, just following the same technique now. Again, if you see there's a little bit of gap between the orange paint, orange dots. I'm quickly marking these tiny white dots at that area itself. You can also choose your own space or area where you want to give these white dots. Just make sure that they are not overlapping each other. If you don't have enough space in the same area, like if you see beyond this yellow area, this yellow first layer, I have a little bit of gap which has been created. So I'm just giving these white dots at this area. In case you don't have enough space at this area, you can completely skip this process. Okay. So again, this is the same technique, and I give these white dots. I hope you are all uh, in line with me up till here. We have just created a simple tiny mandala that with the help of dots with tiny white dots as well. So let's move to the next step now. I'm going to make use of the same earbud now. Dip it into orange. One dot down. Okay, so there's just one dot that I'm creating on the lower side, and I extend it. So if you see, I've just extended it up till three of these dots. Similar technique on the opposite side as well, and three dots. Okay, so here's a quick recap in case you couldn't follow. Dipping the earbud into the orange paint now. Starting from the lower side, I create three dots which are adjacent to it. They create a kind of a straight line. Okay, so three of these below, the same on the top side as well. Just three dots. Make sure that they are in line, they're adjacent to each other. The same on the right side as well. Just three dots. If you're making three dots, make sure you're making three dots at all the ends. If you're making four dots, make sure that you're making four dots at all the ends. But don't make it too large. We have something more to be added here. Okay, so just three dots would be enough. The same on the left side now. Also make sure that you're not putting your palm onto the artwork or the paint. Okay. Now if you see, we have just created these straight lines with the help of dots, or maybe dots which are lying just one above the other on the four sides, the top, the bottom, right and the left. And now just in between these two, we would create the same three dots which are adjacent to each other. Same on the other side, just between the gap, we are creating the same three dots in the same adjacent line. Okay. Don't worry, in case you haven't followed, I would be repeating it, but I think this was an easy follow-up. So, okay. So here's a quick recap in case you haven't followed. So up till now, we have already created the four three dots together, the top, the bottom, the right, and the left. Now, just in between these, we are going to draw three dots again in the same technique, but these would be slightly diagonal. Okay, so just like the rays of the sun, this is in fact the sun itself, and we are drawing the rays of the sun now. So that's the central portion, and now we have just drawn to the rays of the sun. Okay, so just the similar technique and marking the diagonal dots here as well. Okay, so now I hope you have all made these orange rays of the sun, and now just taking this yellow paint, and in between these orange dots, I'm creating these yellow dots. The same technique, drawing the same three dots in between the orange dots now. So just in between these orange dots, I'm creating these yellow dots. Same process again, exactly the same process. Keep rotating your sheet. A tiny reminder to just not ruin your artwork. And just start by giving these three dots in between the orange dots. We're just making these yellow rays of sun now. Yes, we're just making these yellow rays of sun just in between the orange rays of sun now. Okay, so that's what I've done up till now. So we have a central portion that we created. Then we have these rays of sun which are in orange and yellow color. Now just take your pencil again, the same pencil that you used previously, dip it into the white paint again. You can just simply dip the pencil into the white paint, and now just next to this orange dot, I'm giving these tiny white dots. The same for the yellow ones as well. Just in between these yellow and orange rays of sun, I'm giving these tiny white dots to make it look more highlighted. The white paint makes it look a little highlighted, and that's the reason we are marking these tiny dots. Again, if you don't have enough space between the rays, or even if your circles or the dots are overlapped, you can skip this process. Instead of making it messy, you can just skip this process. If you see, I have good amount of space left in between, and hence I'm just adding these white dots. So just in between these rays of sun, the orange and the yellow ones, I just give these white tiny dots. Okay, I'm almost there. And don't worry, I'll quickly take you a little back and we'll see a quick recap of it. Like you see, I'm just giving these dots next to the rays of the sun itself. Just next to the rays of the sun, I'm marking these tiny white dots with the help of pencil. In case you don't have a pencil and you still want to make a white dot, I think pencil would be available with all of you, I think. But in case you're not able to just use a pencil, you can also use a toothpick if you want. Okay, so I'm done with the sun now. I've just created a tiny sun at this area. And now it's time to make something around it. Okay, so we have just made the sun and we are going to make something around it. So I quickly need a quick guess from you. I'm going to give paint now. So as the sun is in the space, there's something more in the space. So sun rises in the morning, and there's something that comes out or rises maybe at the night. So we are going to draw that something that rises at the night or something that we see at the night. We do not see the sun at night, right? We see something else. So what is that something else that we see at the night? So quickly giving you 5 seconds to guess what is that. So there's a sun that we see in the morning time, in the daytime, and there's something else that we see during the night time. So what is that? Quickly giving you 5 seconds to type in your answer. Quickly tell me what is that we see in the sky at night time. Yes, that was pretty simple. And no, it's not the stars, but it's the moon. So we're just going to start by creating a moon around the sun now. This is a sun that we have created, and now we are going to create a moon around the sun. Okay. So again, all of you just quickly keep your tools down for a moment. And first, I need all of you all to observe this. Okay. Just around the sun, we are going to create a moon. And this time I'm taking a new fresh earbud. That's a completely new fresh earbud because I'm making use of a white paint now. So don't mix your earbuds. Don't use the same yellow paint earbud at this at as well. Make sure that you're making use of a fresh earbud so that there's no mixing of paint happening. Okay. So you know the drill now. We dip the earbud into the paint. Start from the top section and just mark a white dot. And then we just continue this process and start marking the dot around the sun. So start from one end and just start giving these dots around the sun now. So just keep dipping your earbuds into the paint so there's good amount of paint on your earbuds and you have completely filled dots coming in. So the moment you feel there's less paint on your earbuds, please don't go ahead and make use of it. Dip your earbuds into the paint and have good amount of paint on the earbuds. Okay. If you see, I'm just going all the way in the curved area just around the sun with the white dot. Okay. So just following this process, just going in a curved area with the dots and just around the sun. If you haven't followed this, here's a quick recap for you. We start from one end and then we just start giving white dots in a circular manner just around the sun. And as I said, keep dipping your earbuds into the paint and it would be easy for you to create these dots. So just going around the sun in a circular manner with these white dots. Okay, and creating the circular portion first, the first curve. We're not drawing a complete circular moon. We would be drawing a crescent moon, the half side of it. Okay. And we reach the bottom. So if you know, or if you can see, I've just made it somewhat equal to the area where I started these white dots. So just make sure that the end and the start point is roughly in alignment, just as you can see over here. So that's just a C that I've created around the sun now. And then I'll just give an extension to it. So the same manner now, just the same manner, we are going to draw a larger curve this time. I'm going to draw a larger curve this time. Just carefully observe how I go about with it. So I just start giving the second curved part of the moon. And if you see, I'm just increasing the gap. We draw a larger circular part this time. Okay, so just a larger circular area with the help of dots. If you're finding it difficult to just create this freehand, you can just take a pencil and then you can just keep your earbuds on the pencil lines and keep creating these dots. The reason why I have not used pencil over here because it won't be visible in the camera because it is a black shade. But in case you're finding it difficult to create these curves freehand, what you can do is just draw a rough pencil line or a rough, curved line with a pencil and then just go on with the dots. Okay. So I'm just creating it freehand over here. It's totally fine if it's not exactly the same. Don't worry, you can just go ahead with the similar curved area but a little larger in size. Okay, so I'm making use of white paint over here and I'm creating a slightly larger curve this time to make it look like a moon, and then it starts meeting at the central section now, the end point over here. Okay, there we go. We have created a simple moon around it. So there's a sun in between in the center of it, and then we have just created this moon around the sun. And I've just created simple two curved lines with a little bit of gap in between with the help of white dots. Okay, so I hope it was all easy and simple to follow it up till now. And then it's time to just completely fill this area. So let us see what are we doing now. So if you see, I've just created these two curved lines with white dots, and then we have just left a little bit of gap so that we can fill something inside. So now I'm going to make use of a blue acrylic paint. So any shade of blue would be totally fine, any shade of blue. And if you feel that the blue that you have is a little darker and it won't be visible on the black sheet, you can just mix a little bit of white to your blue shade that you have, and you can use a lighter version of it. Okay, so just to make any color lighter, it's a simple trick that we make use of white paint. We just add a little portion of white paint with the base color so that the resulting color, once you mix these two colors, that would be a shade which is a little lighter as compared to the original one. Okay, so that was just a quick tip in case you have a blue shade which is little darker in color, and in case you're just happy with the blue shade that you have, just as me, you can just simply go ahead, dip your earbud into the paint now. Again, just make sure that you're making use of a fresh earbud. And now in between the moon, I'm going to give these blue dots in a curved area. Just in the curved area, giving these blue dots. So I give a curved area just above the lower curved. So this is the first curved white dot area that we have created. And this is the second one. Just above the second one, I'm creating these blue dots. So simple technique, the same technique that we have been following up till now. Just dip your earbuds into the paint and just start creating impressions on the paper. Start putting your earbuds onto the paper so that it gives you a resulting circular dot. So would you have ever wondered that, we would just end up making such a huge artwork, such giant moons and, sun with the help of simple dots? This was yet another technique that we could use in our mandala course or just to create mandalas, and I've just reached till the end portion. And now, if you see, we still have some gap left, and we're going to follow the same thing for the first curved portion of the moon. So now, just around the first curved area, we are going to give these blue dots. Okay. So I'm constantly dipping my earbud into the paint and creating these dots. Okay. So here's a quick recap for anybody who couldn't follow this. So first we just make a blue line, a blue curved line with the help of dots below about the second curved line. The same technique we are going to follow for the first curved line, the first curved white dot line that we have created. Just below it or just next to it, we are going to create these blue dots now. Okay, so again, a tiny reminder that your dots need not be overlapping. They should be located, situated at a little bit of gap next to each other. I'm just creating these dots around the first curved area now. Okay, just a similar technique just to create this moon now. Okay, just following the same technique up till the end. And there we go. Okay, so now if you see, I still have a little bit of gap left, right? So just in case if you don't have this gap left, you can completely skip this process. But I feel this gap or this space is quite unnecessary. So I'm going to just fill it up with white dots in the same curved manner. I'm just creating these white dots now. Creating white dots in the curved area just in between these blue lines. I had a little more gap left in between. I had simple black space left in between. So just to fill that up, I'm going to cover it up with these white dots. As I said, in case you don't have this space, you can completely skip this process. Okay. I'm just giving these white dots in between. And in case you haven't followed this, here's a quick recap for you. So as you see, I have a little bit of gap left in between. I'm going to just go ahead by giving these white dots in between. Okay. So again, the same trick. Just dip your earbuds onto the paint, into the paint, and then just place it on the paper. So you have a resulting dot being created, tiny circles being created. And then I'm just going to go with the same procedure up till the end portion of it. Okay, yes, so I'm almost there up till the end point of it. Okay, just done with the moon now. So if you see, we have just created the sun and the moon with simple dots. So just by creating these dots at different shapes or different sizes or even at different areas, we can just end up making an enormous piece of art or this mandala technique has been widely used. The dot mandala technique has been widely used. So I just thought of introducing you all to this technique. So that's the sun and the moon that we created with the help of dots. And I hope you all really enjoyed making this sun and the moon by simply creating these dots, just joining these dots, and the use of earbuds and pencil just to create this dot, keeping your brushes aside and just making use of a different tool this time to create an artwork was my motto for this. I hope you all enjoyed creating the sun and the moon just by just by creating dot impressions. And I'm going right away to check your submissions. So in case you have not followed the submission process right at the beginning, don't worry, we would be repeating it towards the end of this session as well. But just make sure that you're making your submissions right on time and you're attending all the classes to get a certificate by the end of the course. Okay? So I hope you all enjoyed this fun activity and give me a promise that you're going to make your submissions right after you complete your artworks. Okay? So let your artworks dry up. Quickly click a good picture of yourself with the artwork and go make the submissions. Okay? I'll see you in the next class. Till then, please take care of yourself and stay creative. Bye bye.
Hi everyone, we are excited to have you here in today's fun-filled learning session at Uolo. Here is a quick look at how you can submit your work after the class. As a first step, go to live.uolo.com. You can use any browser to access this site. On this page, you will see a list of all our classes. Scroll down and you can see the Submit Your Work button. And then you will see a list of the classes that you've last attended, which could, for example, show the dance or craft or science experiment classes you've attended recently. Next, it will show you the list of children whose names are registered in this mobile number. Choose your name from this list to submit your work. For instance, if you are Satvik Kumar, choose that name. And then choose the class for which you would like to make your submission. For example, if you've attended the New Year's Masquerade Party session and you'd like to make the submission for this class, click on the Submit Your Work button below that. And then upload the photo you've taken. Choose the image from your phone and click Submit. You can scroll down and view all your past submissions and see how many of your friends or peers have liked your work. You can also see others' work and like their work to inspire your friends. If you want to showcase your work on social media, that too is very simple. Click on Share, copy the link and post it on Instagram or Facebook or any other platform of your choice. Just a tiny reminder, your submission looks a lot better if you could click a photo in the landscape mode rather than the portrait mode. Do not forget to tag us at YOLO_app. I'm eagerly looking forward to all your submissions.